Hey folks, welcome back to Nomad Boatbuilding. I'm Mark Rutan, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about backing out planes. Now, backing out planes are specific to the boat and boatbuilding industry, and we use them to back out planks that have to fit to the round sides of boats. So we're creating a hollow shape in the back of a plank so that it matches the convex shape of the sides of a boat frame. Now, backing out planes have a curved bottom. They're curved in this direction, and they're curved a little bit in this direction as well. Now, these should not be confused with molding planes. Now, molding planes, which sometimes come in a curved bottom variety, differ in that the sole of a molding plane is dead flat, and the iron of a molding plane is usually ground to match the shape of that bottom exactly. In a backing out plane, we often have that iron ground to be slightly more proud in the center than the shape of the bottom. And that allows us to sort of tweak exactly how much of a bite it takes, especially near the edges of planks where we don't want to take any material off. We're only trying to take material out of the belly of it. And so it just makes for a plane that's got a little bit of built-in adjustability depending on how you use it. Now, while you can buy off-the-shelf molding planes, you cannot buy off-the-shelf backing out planes. Generally, we make them from scratch, or you do like what I've done here, which is taking a wooden-bodied smoothing plane and converting it into a backing out plane. Now, coffin planes are pretty common, and they will make an excellent backing out plane, especially because this sort of coffin shape that they have to the bottom really lends itself to working down into curved concave forms once you've rounded off the bottom in both directions and give the blade a bit of a grind. Now, because these blades have got a curve to them, sharpening them is a little bit more of a challenge. So let's go over to the sharpening bench and I'll show you how I go about doing that. Sharpening curved blades is always a little bit tricky, and I'm just going to show you the technique that I use for doing it. Now, this is already hollow ground, and I'll probably go back to the hollow grind again before I move on to sharpening this in the future, but for now I just want to try and refresh it. I'm using a diamond stone, and that makes life a little bit easier for me using diamond stones for this. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the blade here and I'm rolling it forward until I feel the front edge make contact with my stone. So once I've found that front edge, and you can almost, if you watch the puddle of water in front of you, there's a point at which you can see it make contact. You'll see sort of the water sort of rush away from the very tip as it touches down. Once I have that, try and hold that angle, and I gently just start rocking it back and forth. Now, because I'm using a diamond stone, I can go in line with my motion here, and it's not going to affect the stone in any way. However, using a water stone, I have to use a slightly different technique, and we'll be doing that in a bit, so I'll show you that then. And I'm just going back and forth, stopping every few moments and just checking my angle, feeling that I've got that angle correct, and try and lock that in without putting undue pressure on my fingertips. If you push too hard, you'll tend to want to roll it up. We don't want to do that. Now, there's one thing that I'm seeing here as I'm doing this, and this relates to my sharpening technique in general is something I refer to as raising a burr and removing a burr. So as I'm working this side, I'm raising a burr on the edge of this blade, and from my position here I can see some reflected light on the areas where that burr is raised. You can see that burr raised along the two corners there, and it's missing a little piece in the middle, but that bright white little line, that's the burr. That's what we're shooting for. Now I'm just going to keep working this until I see that little gleam of light going across the entire edge. I'm on my coarsest side, which is about 325 on this stone, although I don't think, by the time these diamond stones are worn in, I don't think it really has quite that coarse a grit. Certainly when it's brand new, it feels about that. Now, the reason I want to keep on this grit until I get that burr along the whole edge is because it's going to make life a lot easier for me throughout the rest of the sharpening process, and you'll see why. Now, this is where it pays to be your most patient. It's right at the beginning of the sharpening process. If I do this job right, everything else goes very quickly and very easily. If I get lazy about this, everything else does not go quickly or easily, or else I find out at the very end that I did a terrible job. Now if I'd taken the time to regrind this blade right back to a full hollow grind, or even just close to it, this would have gone a lot faster. I'm almost there. I can see that burr coming up on the rest of it now. If your light's not suitable to see the burr, you can feel the burr. Okay, I can now see that burr along the whole edge. With that done, now I flip it over to my back. And if you look, you can see how that hollow grind has almost disappeared on this now. Flip it onto the back, keeping this dead flat. I'm just going to gently lap the back of the blade. I do this at each stage. Some people don't, but I do, because I find that we get coarse, sometimes scratches on the back side of that blade from use, and I like to get rid of those. That's removed my burr from that cutting edge. That burr is now not quite gone. Got to do a little bit more. Okay, now by doing that, I've now moved my burr to this side of the blade. So one tiny spot right in the front. Let me a little bit more. Flush away some of that slurry. There we go. Okay, now we flip it over to the next grit. This one's 1200. We do the same thing, but now because I put in all the time on that first side, doing this side is going to be really fast. And all I'm worried about is minimizing the coarseness of the grit, the surface that's the last grit made at my cutting edge. There's my burr across the whole back again. See how fast that was? Now when I flip this over, we're going to get rid of that really quickly because I put in that time already. Done. Just a few strokes. Okay, now we move to a finer stone. This one's 4000. Now that I'm on a water stone now, I need to be careful about how I run this over there. So again, I flip forward till I find my angle. What I want to do is make sure that I'm moving around the stone. If I want to go this way, that's fine. See how I go at sort of an angle? Just using a light touch because we don't want to gouge these stones. And once I've moved my burr, flip it over, lap the back. Now when you're lapping the back, it doesn't matter. You don't need to make circles, or you can go in any direction you want because you're not going to hurt the stone at all, so long as you're not grinding in one particular spot at one time. You just got to keep moving it around. Do that for a bit until I've moved that burr, which I've done. Go to my last stone. This one's 8000. Back to the front, same thing. Find my angle, gentle touch. I'm using like only as much pressure, well, almost no pressure, just enough to sort of maintain that angle and carry the weight of the blade. And I've moved that burr again. Take it off. Now I usually do this a couple times on the finest stone, but I do less each time because I want to create a smaller burr. So now that I've pulled the burr off the backside, find my angle, get rid of it, a couple more strokes, and trying to make the burr as small as possible. There we go, done. So now we'll just strop that. Okay, when I strop, I usually hit this about a dozen times on the beveled side, raising it up to just a degree or two past my primary bevel. And I'm rolling it across there. Hit that about a dozen times, and then I flip it onto the back side and I go flat. Try not to raise it at all. It's dead flat. This strop is loaded with the green buffing compound, which is usually used to buff out plastics. It's very fine. And I come back to my beveled side again, hit it a few more times, and soon I'll just start going back and forth. We're trying to work harden that burr. It's tiny, but we want it to wear off basically, and the buffing compound acts as a mild abrasive to clean up that surface and polish it. Let's have a look. Now when I'm done, if I'm done it well, this will shave hair very easily. We're almost there. It's not quite shaving as much as I'd like, and that usually means that there's a microscopic burr on there that still needs to come off. There we go. It's shaving beautifully. Throw a drop of oil on here. And before we're done, I like to just take my two stones, give them a few strokes together. It just helps to keep them flat, keep the surface fresh, free from contamination, and any little scratches I put in there, it'll help to get rid of those. That's it. A little bit of cleanup. We're done. Okay, now that our backing out plane is nice and sharp, we can go and put it to use. And you can see me do exactly that in my Catalina Wary series, where I shape the breast hook with it. Alright folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Now remember, if you want to do sharp work, you gotta have sharp tools. So get over to your sharpening bench and start practicing. Alright, catch you later folks.